Good evening. My name is Warren Samuels. I'm the Director of Enrollment and Financial Aid at Brook Mountain Academy. I am joined tonight by my colleagues, Diane and Christine and Liza, who work at the school and specifically have roles to play with our U12 program. We'll hear from all of them in just a moment. Our focus tonight is our 5-day U12 program. While we do offer a 3-day U12 program as well, our primary focus tonight is going to be talking about the 5-day program. To just make sure we're all on the same page, the Brook Mountain Academy ecosystem is pretty wide. We have kids, all the way down at the U8 level, who are in the junior program, and the junior program runs up to the U14 level. And then there's a shift towards our academy, which is what's been around for over 50 years. Brook Mountain Academy, the U16 and FIS program, 8th grade through 12th grade, full term boarding program. We won't be talking about that tonight on the call, but that is ultimately kind of the end journey of our ecosystem, and a possible path for some of the kids in our junior program. To get started and to jump right into the U12 5-day programming, I'm going to pass it off to our junior program director, Diane Roth, who is also an alum of the school. So I'm going to share my screen, and then Diane, you can take it away.
Thanks, Warren. Welcome, everybody. This is always an exciting call for me. The plan tonight is to really introduce you to, our program philosophy, and why we run things the way we run them, and the benefits from that program, and introduce you to our U12 head coach, that'll dive a little bit deeper into more specifics on, the journey of becoming a U12 ski racer. But I just wanted to go through and say that this has been a really fun journey for me. I'm in my 4th year as program director at BMA. I went to school here and then had a successful career on the US ski team. And it's quite nice for me to be able to come back to BMA and be here and share, what I love so much about the sport of ski racing with U8s, U10s, U12s, and U14s. It's really an awesome thing. About 4 years ago, Willie Booker, the head of school, and I started a discussion about, strategically aligning the junior program with a ski club path that was, more closely aligned with the philosophy of Brook Mountain Academy, and just trying to introduce as many kids to the sport as we could and get them to a place in their ski racing process where they're learning, they're exploring the sport, their families are loving the sport, for our local families, and also, programs that are amped up just a little bit to be able to, prepare kids who are on target for maybe doing a little bit more and being more intense and focused in the sport. That really starts at the U12 age group. Our philosophy, or my philosophy personally, is that the U8s and the U10s ski the whole mountain. They learn to ski on one ski. They learn to do whirlybirds. They are happy, confident, parallel, accomplished skiers, and they can ski everything that we have to offer on the mountain. Once we get into the U12 age group, it's really the perfect time to deep dive into skill building and really start to refine a little bit more their ability for racing, of going fast, being on the outside ski, having a proper position. We really track and have a philosophy that is in alignment with Brook Mountain Academy. So when I met with Willie, and then Felix McGrath came on board at the same time, we put a strategy together to take everything from our Brook Mountain Academy technical statement and and make sure that our program aligns with every stage the athlete would be moving to in their journey. So at U12s, we're going to start to introduce them to our 3 phases of the turn: early grip, attacking the fall line, and a release. We start to work on the terminology that they need to know in our technical statement. And so that when they graduate up into the U14 program, they're ready to really explore speed. So, this program we're going to talk about tonight is really our skill building program, but I'm going to briefly share with you, because as parents, I get questions for U10s about why don't they race more? Why don't they spend more time on snow? Why aren't we doing 4 summer camps with U12s? Isn't that going to make them the best skier they can be? But these kids are at their level of maturity. And one thing that we know is we want to keep the kids in the sport as long as we can. And the best ski racers really are multi-sport athletes. And we want to support athletes doing other sports. We don't want to see a kid specialize at the U12 level for just ski racing. We want to hear all about their lacrosse and soccer and track and mountain biking and anything else that they love to do, because having a balance in structured and unstructured play is really important for them to learn how to do things well. So oftentimes when we get kids that are only ski racers and they're only going to summer camps at the U12 age, there's a greater risk of burnout, of leaving the sport early, and injuries from just one singular repetitive movement. So I'm going to have Warren, I'm going to have you click on the sports plan. I'm just going to share a few slides with you, not all of them. But the sports plan is our guiding document that Felix created, specifically coming from Norway, coming from a country that really understands youth sports and how U8s and U10s and U12s track through all the way up to the FIS level. So, yep, perfect. So on the first slide, we use this guiding document. We share it with the parents. You have a chance to really take a look at what we're doing and why we're doing it. And we break the winter down, into prep period days, race days, training days at Burke, weekend training days at Burke, and then we look at how many days on snow annually the athletes are completing. And if you look at the U12 age group, we want to get 25 prep period days on snow. So that's 25 days from May 1 to the Christmas week. So we go all the way through Christmas with our prep period for youth and children's skiing. And getting those 25 days is not difficult to do. And Christine will talk a little bit more about our camps and our camp program. But that's really, an ideal number for us. Race days, you see that the U12 have 8 race days. And the reason behind that low number is that when children go to a race, they learn to race, but they aren't able to do, on a typical training day for us, we'll train from 12:30, 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And there's more time in that training block than 2 runs on a race day on a weekend. So keeping the race days a little bit lower, but teaching the children to race, but really working on skills at home and building the foundation that we need. Because if you look at the next year, the U14 races suddenly jump up and then U16s jump up. So we really want to benefit from training at home. So we have a document that we really follow and track, and it's easy to have a discussion with parents about why we do what we do when we actually have documentation about a system that we know works and puts, kids up onto a national team program coming out the back end. You don't have to ski 125 days as a U8 and a U10. In fact, the child will probably, by the time they're a U14, be, I'm done. Right? I'm just done. They're done. They're tired. They're exhausted. And they've done nothing but programmed training. And so we try to avoid that. So on the next slide, Warren, it just is a different look at our prep period days. And you can see how it grows from U12 to U14 to U16. And if you go to the next slide, and race days annually, it's the same thing. And the goal is always skill building and preparing them for U14s, U16s, and then to be FIS athletes if that is the track that they're on. The best chance of really giving your child a good crack at this sport. We know that's why we introduced our 5-day program. The kids ski Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and once in a while we'll ski on Friday with the U14s. We haven't necessarily done that this year, but we have in the past couple of years. We'll add Super G. We'll teach the kids Super G elements on longer skis, and the amount of volume that the 5-day kids are able to get and focusing on skills and skill development is a real game changer for any of the programs on the East Coast. And we track the kids pretty close, and Christine will vouch for that. When exhaustion starts to creep in, we take days off. We have free ski days. We do whatever we need to do to make sure that the kids are super happy and skiing well. So go to the next slide, Warren. Total ski days, more of the same, but looking at the same progression through the ages. And the next slide, yes, that one. This one is really one I want to talk about for a minute, because I know it's hard to see on this Zoom, but I'll kind of explain what you're looking at. So the dark blue on the bottom are prep period days. And you'll notice with the U12s, it jumps up a little bit from the U10s, but it's not as high as it is for the 14s, 16s, and FIS. The lighter blue block that is larger is specific to Burke ski days. Those are training days at home. And you'll notice that the U8s, U10s, and U12s have a big block there. The kids are spending time with their friends. They're at home. They're getting a good night's sleep, and they're putting a lot of time in skill building in our home program on our home hill. And then the green is our Burke ski days. Trying to read this. I believe that is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's where we really start to see an advantage with our U12 program, is a larger block of time midweek, not just on the weekends. And then the yellow bit at the top, those are race days. So, just balancing out and knowing where the kids are for their right physiological and growth periods, knowing, what the key things are to focus on. So go to the next slide, Warren. And then this is just a really basic philosophy visual. Fun and discovery is the first circle on the far left. Free skiing, ski play, obstacle courses. We will do obstacle courses on Nordic skis, on skate skis. We try to integrate all kinds of different balance and fun learning at the beginning of their progress with us. And then short gates being stubbies and GS gates is where we move to. And then as the children get older, they'll move to tall gates. When they're ready, we will train tall gates with some of our second year U10s. And then we introduce tall gates to our U12s. And we do use the 54-inch junior gates, as well as we do have some 50-inch junior gates, some very small gates that we use with the little kids as well, just to make sure that they're feeling like they're not being overwhelmed by a huge adult-sized slalom gate. So as they get older, more training and race simulation comes into play. So at the beginning of our progression, it's really skill, fun, balance, learning to race, but focusing, super focused we are on fun skill development. And I think that for this group, Warren, that's the last slide that we really need to go through. We have some other slides about dryland and things like that, but I don't want to take up a lot of time to go over that. But I just wanted to tell you that the U12 5-day program is an unbelievable opportunity. We have, and Liza Elkin is on the call as well. And Liza will talk to you a little bit about school and school support programs that we have in place, but we have a pretty good group of academic support programs for the kids that are here locally for our 5-day program. And the program starts, just the last bit of information. We'll get the kids together if they're living locally in the fall for some weekend dryland programs. We'll have a barbecue, we'll have a equipment fit day throughout the fall. But we really will start the program after our November camp. As soon as we get our training hill up and running around Thanksgiving is when we'll really start skiing with the U12 5-day group. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Christine Booker, who is our U12 head coach and has an unbelievable amount of experience at the collegiate level, junior national team level, and has been one of our coaches here at Burke for quite some time. And she's just amazing. So thanks, Christine.
Just to interrupt real quick, I failed to mention earlier on that if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat and we'll get to them towards the end of the programming. Just wanted to put that in. Christine, all yours.
Thank you, Warren, and thank you, Diane. I appreciate the time to be able to explain or talk about my philosophy, which aligns with BMA, obviously. But to start, I just want to let you know that I coached for 2 years U14s here at BMA, and then went with the U16 for 2 years, and now I'm going back with the U12. So I have a good idea of what to look for, what to work towards in order to get to the U14s and eventually the U16 and further up. To start with, I thought a lot about why I'm coaching and what I would want to get out of coaching, how I can help. And, 3 words come to my mind. I think positive. I think it's really important to be positive with the kids or whoever you work with. I want to be able to share my passion. I've been skiing since I was 3 years old, and I did compete at a pretty high level, not nationals, but did some international racing. But for me, what really stuck to me was having somebody who cared about me and not just about the skiing. So I would say the positive, passion, and care are at the top of my philosophy. And then, if you want to build, you got to make sure that you create the right practice environments for those kids, but you also want to make sure that they want to do it. So by being creative and changing what you do every day helps a lot with their curiosity and enthusiasm through the day. Every day they show up and they're wondering, what are we going to do today? Yes, they're going to be skiing, but they're also going to be doing drills and, gates environments that they've never seen before. And as they move through the months, they're always looking for more. And I have to say, at Burke, I was really impressed with the U12 that we have now as a 5-day. They just free ski a lot. They get up there before we start practicing, and they stay up there until the last year. And they do that as a group. And I feel like now that I know that they have that time on snow, free time on snow, they feel like it feels like they're more focused when they're with me. So I'm really truly blessed with that. Another really important part for me is that I can establish a trust between them and me that they know that they can ask questions and that I will respect them for who they are. And I think, that is a very important part of it. You can be a coach and just kind of dictate or tell them how to be, but I feel like it's important for the coach to understand and hear them. So how do I get to that positive passion care, create these environments? The way I see a coach is more of a architect of the optimal learning, being able to offer those controlled environments that encourage discovery as well. So I would set up, as an example, I would set up a little environment and I would ask them, what are you seeing? What do you think this is about? And it helps them think a little bit more about it instead of just going through the motion. So asking them questions about it, understanding what their knowledge is about it, I think is key for them to learn more and more efficiently. So moving from there, I would like, and my goals for this year, and that might change, that might adapt because it's important to stay open. For me, it's really important to establish a connection with each individual that I'm coaching. They're all at different levels. They all learn differently. And that is my challenge, to be able to connect with all of them. And another important part when we talk about BMA is the culture. So for me, it's important to help them understand what it means to have, a team, and why do it's an individual sport, but really you need your teammates to be able to do the daily chores or the daily exercises. Like we all know, everybody, every day, you show up and you might be tired and your teammate is really happy and it just brings you up. Helping each other, watching each other, try to see what I'm explaining in other skiers, helps them, observe and be more focused. They feel like they're important, and if they feel like they're important, they will be working hard. So basically that is what I would like. I'm trying to do with them. It's pretty simple. I'm explaining them. I'm asking them questions about the equipment. Why do we ski on skis? What shapes are the skis? So when we're on the snow, I can show them really how they are made to work. So it's a combination of many things, but for me, the challenge is always to make it interesting to them and make sure that they understand in a positive way. So, yeah. So when we talk about camp, we have a scheduled August camp at Mount Hood. Last year, we weren't able to go because the snow was pretty minimal and they had to close the camp, but the mountain. But this year, as you can see on the on your desktop, August 7th through the 17th, it would be a day camp. In terms of, we would ski in the morning, the parents bring the kids, we ski in the morning, we come down for lunch. Not sure exactly if we're just going to have lunch together and then go for a hike or an activity or talk about the day, and then they would go back home for after late afternoon dinner, sleep at home. I just feel like the U12s, they're pretty young and they need their sleep. If we're going to be putting some effort into skiing, it's challenging in the summer. There's a lot of lifts to get to the top. The snow is challenging. You need focus. And in my experience, being with your parents in a constrained environment and not around all the little kids and run around all night, will be way more productive. It's going to be 7 days on snow, 1 day off, maybe 8 days if we can. We'll see how their energy level is. And then we move on to the November camp, and we went to Loveland. Loveland is a great place because you could free ski. You don't need to have a lane. And so you could, free ski and get to know all the other kids. And it's a great experience. I really enjoyed it this year as my first year. Not sure what else you would like to know, but I'm just having a great time with those kids. That age is amazing, and they respond really well. The progress is it's very it's great because it having coached at U16 and U14. This age group, they just listen. They want to take it all in. So they try. They're not afraid to try. So, yeah.
Thank you, Christine. One thing just to give people a little idea how we do our camps. We don't do commercial summer camps. And there's a really good reason for that. And it's just keeps us focused on the kids that are in our program. We do have invitees that sometimes that we bring for the camps, but we don't overbill or bill our camps above our expenses. So when in our group, when we do a camp, say it's at Mount Hood or at Loveland, the billing that goes out to parents is strictly for the expenses of the coaches and staff and the expense of the camp specifically. We don't add anything to that. They're not money makers for us. They're our program's training opportunities. And, we do have a focus on trying to keep, our costs as low as possible. So those camps, we highly encourage that our athletes go to both camps. And normally when we start at Mount Hood, we'll start working on the language specific to drills and exercises that we do. And the kids learn that language and they learn to meet each other and go through how we operate on the hill. And then by the time they get to Loveland, they're really excited to see each other. They know each other. And that really kicks off our season, that November camp. And then we come back and they would go back into school and then have Thanksgiving, and we'd be back on snow as soon as possible after Thanksgiving. And just again, so we ski Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 12:30 to 4 in the afternoon. And then we also ski on Saturday and Sunday with the 3-day program and the weekend program. All the kids are together on Saturday and Sunday because being social and skiing and training with the group of kids that you go to races with, it's just part of our philosophy and part of what we believe in. So I think athletically, Warren, I think that's it.
Sounds good. Just a quick question that we had pop up.
Sure.
We can answer them at the end too, but just the prep period before the camp. Are we doing anything for U12 there, or did I leave that in there when it should have been taken?
Well, no, that's just I kind of a knowledge identifier for parents. So the prep period, anything that we do from May 1st on, whether it's a U12, a U14, a U16, or a FIS athlete, that's where we really track the prep period days. So that's just a knowledge data point for parents to know that, we're starting in August for the next season. And in fact, when we're at Mount Hood, we spend a lot of time making sure our kids are on the correct equipment, and we work through Mount Hood. And then the goal is they're coming to the Loveland camp with the equipment that they're going to use for the season. So that's all part of what we do in the prep period.
Great. And I know there's some other questions coming in. We'll hold those until the end. We'll kind of get through the rest of our presentation, and then we'll get to the questions. We'll have some time. Okay. All right. So I'd like to introduce Liza Elkin, who's our assistant head of school at Burke Mountain Academy. And she's going to chat with us a little bit about how you can handle academics while doing the 5-day program.
Yeah, thanks, Warren. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. My name is Liza, as Warren said, and I've been at the Academy for 5 years and have been working with Diane to oversee the 7th and 8th grade U14 academic program. As Diane mentioned, our academic program does start at the U14 level, not at the U12 level. And that's for a few different reasons, some of them developmental, some of them social, some of them academic, but we believe that these students at this age should be enrolled in schools that are away from Burke for a number of those reasons. That said, we understand that we're asking you to commit to a huge volume of skiing at this age, which requires a lot of coordination on your part. So we do want to do what we can to support families in finding the right fit academically for their students. We have a couple of avenues that we don't partner with them necessarily, but we recommend them because they work well with students, and students who have experience in these systems have found them useful. So I'm going to share a couple of those ideas with you all, and I'll also send out, when Warren sends out the recording, a little bullet list of kind of information on this topic. So the first option is Burketown School, which works with our junior program currently. They have a coordinator. They understand the half-day model of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and students have had really great experiences with that. We also have a private school in the area called Thaddeus Stevens School. It's been around for a while in Lindenville, and this year it's planning to move up to East Burke. So that's a new opportunity for families, and they are working to structure their day around our day as an option for families who are interested in the private school route. A lot of students use accredited online schools. Celis Academy is one that a lot of people use. There's also Apex Learning, which is really great. And those allow students to work at their own pace through the winter time. And in combination with that, a lot of parents will look for a tutoring option. We have a couple of local individuals who have worked with our junior program students as tutors. Some of them are private, some of them parents kind of group up and hire a tutor to work with a handful of kids on their online school, or some kids through homeschool program, and they work through tutors like that. So we do have a couple of, I know the community, the junior program community is pretty tight, and you all probably have a good idea of where those resources might be, but we also have a couple of those on deck that we're happy to share. In terms of recommendations, we don't as a school promote one path over another. It's all about what works best for your family and your student and where you're at right now. And a lot of people ask, well, if we do this route, how does that affect next year and the U14 middle school program and that kind of thing? And my answer is, as long as the student is part of an accredited school program, we're happy to work with that. There's no expectation that they do one over the other to make sure that they're on track to go towards the U14 program. So again, we don't offer any of those programs here. We do, however, want to be a resource in helping you find the right program for your family. And I will send out some more information on that when Warren sends out the recording.
Awesome.
Thanks, Liza. Just to add quickly, when I came here, I was also the parent of a U12, and so had the great experience of going through my son coming into the program, and I was able to sort of navigate all, and it seems daunting at first, but it really was a really great and uncomplicated move to come up here for me. And then we headed back to our homeschool in April. So I did an unenrollment and an enrollment in the Burketown school, and that worked great for us, but I was really worried about it, but it ended up being an amazing experience because a lot of the kids in the local schools and the programs that we work with are in the program. So the kids have a really easy time of moving into whatever route they choose.
All right, so just to quickly touch on the registration process, we're a ways out, so there's no rush to be doing anything right now. There is a chance, as you see here, we're opening, or the 5-day registration for the program is due June 1st. We're likely going to probably open that earlier, and I'll communicate that, once that is rolling. And then just for reference, for 3-day, August 1st is that date for registration. So the registration process is pretty straightforward. It's first come, first serve. We do an application process for our U14 program and obviously for the academy. But at this level, it's just signing up and committing by essentially paying a deposit and signing a very light enrollment contract to secure your space. So if there's questions about that, feel free to pop them in the chat. Otherwise, that should bring us towards the end here. So definitely now, if there are more questions, please feel free to put them in. Before we get to questions, is there anything else that anyone would like to touch on about program or process? Otherwise, I've got some questions teed up for us. I'd say to start, can we touch on, we had some questions about the size of the U12 group. So maybe we can touch on that to start.
Sure. So the best ratios, we have a nice group of midweek coaches available for the program. I can have anywhere from 1 to 2 to 4 coaches for a program. So bigger is not better at Burke necessarily. So if, I do see registration creeping up high, there is a chance that we will cap that. It's not something where we want, 30 kids, 40 kids in the program. So right now, this year, I believe we have 9, and the previous year we had 22, which was great. We had this pack of super inspired, active kids. And that's a number I'm very comfortable with. So I just keep an eye on registration. So it's not something that, if we get into October and somebody's like, oh, darn, I need to register. I didn't register. There might not be a spot for you at that time. Just because I won't go over, in the 5-day program, I probably won't go over 24. And if we have 24, we'll have, 3 to 4 coaches on the hill.
Excellent. Okay, other questions. We had a question about tuition. So the U12 5-day program for next year will be $3,450. That does not include camp expenses, but that would be for the season. All of our tuition rates are on the website as well. Okay, let's see other questions here. Can we unpack? I think we had maybe touched briefly on the Hood camp, but can we unpack what the Loveland camp would look like? Is that going to be similar to Hood in that it's?
Sure. Again, I think we would keep that as a day camp. We did it last year, and we actually purchased junior passes, which are really cheap at Loveland preseason. And the parents would drop off in the morning, and then they'd ski during our scheduled ski time. And then the parents pick up when we're done. So it is, again, a day camp. Particularly at Loveland, we have had altitude issues. Sometimes it takes the children a couple days to adjust to the altitude, and being in a camp situation when they're not feeling well is not a great place for them to be. So many times in the past, when we've done boarding camps with this age group, they've ended up back with their parents. And so we just feel, that it's much more productive for the kids to be with their parents, and some parents, pool together to take a few athletes with one set of parents for one camp and swap for, if they're friends, swap for the next camp. And that works well, but it would be a day camp again. And expenses would be simply, the coaches' expenses to get out there and the coaches to stay and have a vehicle. And that is divided amongst all the participants. So that's kind of what that camp looks like.
And to clarify, we did have a question, Diane, about housing. Families are on their own for finding and securing housing.
At the camps, yeah. But there are some, it's actually pretty easy because Loveland, we can stay in the Silverthorne, Frisco area, Dillon, and there's a lot of places to stay in that area. It's actually pretty inexpensive and pretty easy to find.
Great. All right. Let's see. Maybe Liza, just talking briefly about if someone was to go to Burketown School, what the process looks like for unenrolling from the home school and then re-enrolling, how that works. Is that smooth?
Yeah, and Diane, feel free to chime in from your own experience, but it's pretty easy. Every school that you unenroll from has a little bit different of a process. Some schools want a letter from the school you're going to, other schools just need a parent signature. So we suggest you talk to your front office, your school principal, secretary, and they'll give you, okay, this is what we need from you. And then the Burketown school will have similar things. We need these kind of items. And it's just something that you can coordinate.
Yeah, the great thing about Vermont is there is state legislation for public schools called Pathways to Alternative Learning, where the schools really need to support children that are in, identified programs like our ski program. And it's really straightforward. And I have helped in a lot of different ways, even if you need somebody from the program to contact the sending school. But it's really can be a one-sheet signature that your student is unenrolling on this date, and then you have everything completed to transfer to the Burketown School, which is essentially just your rental document for the place that you're going to stay when you live here locally, and it's as simple as that document, an electric bill, and renter's insurance, and a formal lease, and the local public school has everything that they need. So it's not complicated, but we will help.
Okay. We've had a few questions about registration. So just quickly, so I can clarify that. So June 1 is when registration will open for the 5-day program. August 1 will be when registration opens for the 3-day program. We will likely, for the 5-day program, move that registration open date up earlier, although that has not been set. Some of you have already inquired, which is really the first step, and I will follow up with an email with a link to inquire. If you inquire, you essentially select, my, information wise, you tell me that your kid is a U12 and they're looking to be in the 5-day program or whatever. And then I have you in our system. And once registration opens, then you'll be notified as to when you need to do what. I will send out an email to anyone in the system at that point. So just clarifying that you need to inquire first, and then I will send out what you need to know when prior to the deadlines or prior to the open date, excuse me. So I hope that answers some questions. We did have a question about a 3-day. We are not having a session focused on 3-day, but again, if you inquire for the right, for any program, you'll be given the information in terms of how to sign up. Oh, it's a good question. Can we talk about the idea of kids moving from 3-day to 5-day? Do you ever have kids do that? And, is that successful?
Oh yeah, anytime. That's an ideal situation for us, is that, a family and a child or a parent, if they want to do more. Yeah, certainly. The benefit of being in 5-day in December is really large. Because if you look at the amount of days on snow, by starting earlier in the 5-day, you've had the camps, you've had December, and you've got 5 days on snow every week versus, you could hit Christmas with a 3-day program and have, 6 to 9 days on snow. So it really is good to make a decision as soon as you can. But but that's what we want. We want people to want to do more and love the sport and spend a little bit more time doing it. And that's great.
Question about equipment expectations going into Mount Hood, as that is prior to equipment day.
Yeah, so we would communicate, we'd know, and this is actually one of the reasons that we would move our registration date for the 5-day up a little bit, so we have a little more time. Children are going to grow all the way up until the fall, and just know ahead of time that the boots that you had in this year, might not be appropriate in June, and probably aren't going to be appropriate in the fall. And so we start, Christine and I and the coaches will start a discussion. We'll start to fill out a spreadsheet and get your input as to what equipment your children are on now, what their sizes are, so that we can guide you as best we can. And there are demo options at Mount Hood. And we try to get the kids on some demo skis if we can at Hood, and then, work from Mount Hood to Loveland to really dial in that they have the right boots and the right gear that work for them. So it's something we do with you.
Excellent. Okay, and I think we've gotten through all the questions. So if there are any last minute questions, feel free to type them in the chat. Otherwise, as you can see on the screen, all of our emails are right there. So feel free to reach out and ask any questions. As it has been mentioned, we will send out the slide deck and the recording at some point in the near future, also with a link to inquire about the program officially if you haven't done so already, so that you're teed up and in the system, and will receive appropriate communication for registering down the road. So, okay, I bought us some more time with some questions. Looks like we got none other right now. We have one actually that just came in. Grouping kids by ability in U12. How do we handle that?
So in the 5-day program, our kids are all working together. So ability isn't an issue in the 5-day program because the kids are working so hard through that process. It becomes more of an issue in the 3-day program, and grouping by ability is definitely something that can work well. You want the child to feel like they are comfortable where they are, but being challenged at the same time. You want them to trust their coaches to ask the appropriate things of them. And I believe Christine would agree with this, but in the 5-day group, these kids are challenged every day and are asked to really step up their game every day. And they take great pride in doing it because they're just a very committed group of kids. So it's really not an issue grouping the kids in our full-time program. It becomes more of an issue when we have kids coming in at lower skill levels in the 3-day program or the weekend program.
Excellent. Awesome. All right, well, we'll go ahead and close it down for now. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us tonight and to learn more about our U12 5-day program. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out and stay tuned in the coming weeks for more information. Great. Everyone have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, Warren.
Everyone.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night.
Thank you.